the music. Welcome to Football Amigos Show. It's your boy Sam and your man, the main man, the Arsenal man, a man with a victory. Not so surprising victory for me, but I hope he's not surprising for the man himself. But welcome, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a great week so far. We're eating a lot. There's Champions League games all throughout the week, and
Yeah.
there's also Carabao Cups as well. You know, for those
For
who
the,
can't make it to the
the
big time, you know. But it's good. I'm having a chill week, and still living off the afterglow of that Tottenham victory, and bragging rights. We did it. We didn't just do it in anywhere. We did it at their place, which makes it even sweeter. Yeah.
I wish I can say the same. Uh, I didn't choose to wear black, by the way, but it feels like that kind of game after that game, you don't want to put on red. Just wear black
Yeah.
all through the week.
Because you're in
Um,
mourning.
yeah,
You're in mourning of what could have been.
we were both wrong on prediction of our
Mm.
team last week. I thought Liverpool was gonna uh, make the game maybe like a 2-1, 2-0. I definitely predicted a very minimal goal game. However, you also predicted that Tottenham is going to win or y'all going to play tie game. So, what do you think about the game in general? What do you think?
It was very fascinating. Leading up to the game, there's a lot of information about the tactics that we'd play. There's a lot of innovation. People were asking to push Timber into the midfield, maybe bring Calafiori in, try out Nwaneri because even though he's young, he's brilliant. Try a different formation, try X and try Y. And Arteta going to the game, and it was just to account for the fact that we didn't have legs in the midfield. So Tottenham, they have their many shortcomings, but they are fast, they are intentional, and they do have great patterns of attack. And so we understand that if we try to go blow for blow, we did not have the players to win duels in the midfield. And if you don't have the players to win duels in the midfield, you get overrun. So it was interesting to see how Arteta was going to manage that issue. But unsurprisingly, he actually went with seniority. And so, in absence of Rice and Odegaard, we brought in Trossard into the center as well as Jorginho. And so these are players that Arteta trusts and that he knows what's expected. And they executed the game plan, not just those two people, but as a squad impeccably. The goal was to frustrate Tottenham. We understood that because we can't make the runs we need, we can't impose our will because we don't have the engines in the center to match their intensity, we decided to actually fall back and cede ground to them, which is something that we actually have done in some big games, especially if they're in the Premier League. We did this with Man City last season. We did it with Tottenham as well when we went to. I keep forgetting what their stadium is, the $1 billion stadium, and uh, I can't even remember. But who cares? But whenever we went there, we actually had a similar percentage of possession that we had now. The last time we were over there, we had 37%. This time we had even less, 36. What we did notice was that because Odegaard was gone, a lot of our passing stats were actually really low for what we were expected from Arsenal. Raya actually had the most passes, which is actually a fun statistics to see. And so you realize that most of what was going on in that game was a lot of dueling, a lot of discipline, and then sharp passes to try and create offense, which we did. We sent Martinelli. He had a great chance one-on-one with the goalkeeper that he couldn't put away, and Havertz had a wonderful header to wonderful heading opportunity to score, which he didn't take. But it, it was a 50-50 chance, so you can't really say anything. However, we kept playing and we forced opportunities from set pieces. And just to see Gabriel show up, he has scored 19 goals, they said, in the last since 2020. What's it called? He's a defender with the most headed goals in the Premier League for since 2020. And so there's something that's working about our set piece coaching, but also there's just something so amazingly resilient about our back four. So people were conjuring up Mourinho and how their Chelsea used to work, how they could score a goal, and for the next 50 minutes, even for the next 70 minutes, they say, "Come at us," and nothing happens because you're just so resilient, so disciplined. Everybody's working for each other, and we had that kind of mentality. But upon like actual further inspection, you realize that most of our staff, a good chunk of our coaching staff, are actually from Atletico Madrid. And so a big part of the philosophy over there is that defensive resilience. And so I can see why we have the know-how to manage those kind of situations where the energy could so easily go against you and the floodgates could open, but still keep all of that contained. And we did that really, really well. The positives for the game, our defense is second to none. Uh, Timber is a revelation. I think he will be our starter left back moving forward. He might share that position a little bit with Calafiori, but I do think he's going to be the first name on the pitch. We really missed him last season, and it's good to see him. The entire team, in terms of their effort, Havertz was immense. Trossard really worked hard. Martinelli and Saka, they covered the wings very effectively and offered protection to the line. And even coming in, Nwaneri, he played the last 10 minutes due to an injury. And due to an injury to Saka, but when he came on, he played with a composure that belied his years. You could have assumed he was like in his mid 20s, the way he was executing and playing very intelligently. So it was a great game. It's interesting to see if we can replicate this next week when we play Man City, but it's still challenging. It's still not challenging. It still seems like an effective way of approaching some of these cauldron games because if the energy turns against you, especially if you're away, it's hard to get that energy back. And so how you have to play is very indicative of trying to control that energy. And it was a very, very controlled performance. And so we got to do something very similar next week, but also we have to make sure that we can create more effective threat on the counter. So Man City have shown through their displays that while they are positionally superior to most teams, they have a offensive juggernauts that's spearheaded by Haaland. They do seem to be vulnerable on the counter, especially the counter from corners. And so it'd be good to see how we can exploit that. Other than that, we're gonna have Rice again, so that makes things a little bit more secure. But it would be interesting if we could go in there and get a result. I am surprised. I won't lie. I think based on the history of how I see Arsenal, I expect them to fold a lot, and they haven't shown that they will. I mean, they've shown resiliency just 2 seasons ago. Last season, they showed extreme resiliency. I think it's just now in this season, it's more about Arsenal fans starting to trust that this is a team that doesn't yield, is a team that doesn't break under pressure. And that is becoming very, very clear. It's not to say they're going to win other games, and it's not to say that if they play this way conservatively, that they can, they could score a lot of that one goal will come from a set piece or from an action, or that if they play this conservatively, a world class player on the other end cannot do something magical and put them down. It's kind of the feeling we had when we played Bayern Munich when we went away and we lost 1-0 to Kimmich's brilliance. So we play, you know, Man City next week, and we have players like De Bruyne, we have players like Haaland. There are pros and cons to that approach, but it's been effective so far.
Very good thoughts. I want to have still a question, especially with you ending at analysis, it's been very good. Do you think introducing Trossard in the midfield where he played and having Jorginho is a strong and good enough backup is going forward when you have a situation like you had this recent time? Odegaard being gone, Declan Rice being gone. Do you think there could have been a better combination?
Personally, no. So this is where we are. Is we have three injuries right there: Marino, Odegaard, and two injuries. Sorry, and one suspension. A big part of our midfield is about industry, and so Jorginho is a wonderful player. I still think Partey is a wonderful player. They're just not players that can match that intensity. And so outside of that, the question now is: do you bring people to the base of the midfield and push people up? And so that would be bringing in Zinchenko, who was injured, or Calafiori, who was injured. And so this was injuries like we're talking five people who are effective players who are completely injured. And that's why four of our substitutions bench were all kids. We had four kids, what's it called, in there. And then you had Sterling and Gabriel. And then you have uh, our goalkeeper, Neto. The thing with Trossard and Jorginho is that you want players who are disciplined if they're going to play. So Gabriel Jesus, he is a fantastic live wire player, but he doesn't quite have that positional discipline. He doesn't have that awareness of tracking back effectively. Sterling, as you can see when we brought him on in the game, I don't think he quite understands the mentality at Arsenal is how of the work that is expected off the ball. There's a lot of work expected on the ball, but there's a lot more work that's required off the ball. He doesn't quite understand that yet, so I think it's going to take time for him to acclimatize. So unless we're going to be we expect to be dominant, right? I will still keep that configuration. If we expect to have dominance, then I would look for more offensive threat. Then I would look to swap Trossard with Gabriel and expect Havertz to drop even deeper to facilitate that. But I'm actually hoping, from what little I saw in Waneri, like I wouldn't have made him start a North London derby or make him start a Man City game. But moving forward, I would like to see what he can do in Odegaard's position. As to everything behind, I think between Partey and Rice, we have that number six position covered effectively. The only question now is what we're going to do for that left eight. And we brought Marino in, and so he's going to be out for a week. But hopefully, by the next international break being done, I think we can use him. It's the squad is light in terms of overall numbers, but I don't think it's so much lighter in quality. We have a lot of versatile players. So even Saka can play the 10 eventually if Sterling is ready to be on the right. So there's a lot of configurations we can still use, but I think Arteta prioritizes reliability. I think that's his key to go the starting point. If he can meet that bar, he would meet that first, and then maybe towards the if they seen how the game is flowing, he might change. But after we scored a goal, we didn't need any of those changes. We just had to be disciplined. Yeah, yeah. But it feels light sometimes, but I don't think so. I do think that we just have a lot of injuries and a lot of our play goes through Odegaard. But I don't think you can have an effective replacement for players like Odegaard and Rice that's willing to sit on the bench. It's a very hard thing to do because Odegaard is part of the shortlist, right, for Team of the Year. Rice is part of the shortlist of like those players are that way because they're not easily replaced, and
Yeah.
so if they're out of the squad, it's not so much as bringing in a like for like, is trying to reconfigure the team to function without their influence. And I think Arteta and the coaching team are very good at creating at managing those. Yeah.
Perfect segue for management's defensiveness. Liverpool had a well-managed game. They had all the pointers pointing towards them in the right way. Um, Unlike Arsenal, they didn't get the result. They didn't get the result. Um, a little bit upset, but at the same time, I wouldn't blame the style. I wouldn't blame because when you look at the numbers, you can see that okay, Liverpool was ahead, but the numbers don't count when you don't win the game, right? So for us, we lack. You mentioned defensive resilience. I want to say defensive discipline for us. We also lack a little bit of resilience as well. The goal came in, and we had about three opponents make that goal happen, and we had about five Liverpool guys ready to go at the bat. They couldn't kill that play. So we lack defensive resilience. We also lack defensive discipline. When you look at the game, you can see that these guys are tiptoeing. That's all you have about is a 4 or 5 offside, and we had zero. 4 or 5 offsides. They're not really playing counter, but at the same time, they're not being too defensive. They were ready for any possible lose ball, and that's what eventually killed us. So for Arteta, I like the way they kind of managed that game. To be honest, y'all didn't even come like we want to come score and quickly kill the game. I like the tempo. I like the adjustment from especially Trossard in the midfield. When I saw the lineup, I was like, interesting. We'll see. I hope he doesn't shift left and try to go back to his natural position or whatnot. But it worked out well. It goes back to good managerial skill of Arteta and just being able to use the resources that you have. So our team, we have all the resources. I think that game should have been a game to rest some players, bring in some players that need more game time. What you're doing there is to give them the ability to show forth what they've been playing, what they've been, what they've been preparing for. Honestly, they'll be more hungrier than the other guys to play on that day. It
Mm.
was sad, but there's a lot of things to learn from it. But truthfully, it's one of those games that you don't score, your opponent gets one chance and then make it count, and that's it. So Liverpool has not been scoring. I've said this in our previous podcast. If you don't score, you don't win games. If you don't score, you're more likely to lose in the most embarrassing way. So
I will ask a question. So in this game, because I didn't watch it, were they more half chances or were they more clear cut chances?
there's a lot of clear-cut chances. Of course, not like the Champions League game that was played afterwards.
Hmm.
There's a lot of chances that could have been put away. Um, and also, there's a lot of things that could have been, there's a lot of quick passes that we have saved us. I really think Luis Diaz should not have been in that game to the very time when he was replaced. It should have been subbed out earlier because yeah, I personally think he slowed the game down on the left. And Mo Salah just want to run. Right now, I don't think there's a lot of connection in our front three. Who is the main man that we score and goal? Jota is the most reliable among all the 4 or 5 that we have. Jota himself is not a number 9 by default. I don't know what he does. What I don't know his natural position, but it just doesn't come off to me as the number 9. But he's doing his best. We just need a scorer. We need somebody that can put in the ball at the back of the net. We have Chiesa, but he still doesn't. At the Champions League game, he came in, played at the position that Mo Salah played. I didn't really get a lot of balls, but
It was late in the game. Mhm.
yeah, it was late. It was late, maybe like 5 minutes or 4. And you can tell that he's hungry. But regardless, the coach has to start making these changes. You have to start putting some guys in. Because if we have situation like your lad, with some key players, maybe 1 or 2 players get knocked out, we'll probably fall apart pretty bad. Because right now, there's so much gelling connection with the guys in the first team and they're not producing optimum results. Yes, we got some wins. Finally, we have a loss, and Liverpool fans can actually now see what I have been saying, we're not scoring. It's scary. If you play like this against Man United, if you play, no, Man United, excuse me, Man City. If you play like this against Man City, it's not gonna go well for you. Erling Haaland is gonna score two before you get two back in there. It's gonna be difficult. So let's start playing. Maybe get a number nine in January. That could replace Nunes.
The
Open
question
up.
is it's not so much get a nine, it's get a nine now raise the bar. Like
Yes, exactly.
I don't feel like those people tend to be available in January.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
You're 100% right. So,
I personally
over,
like the way Liverpool play. I watched the game today. I enjoy it. I feel like they are a resilient team mentally.
are you
They can
talking about the Champions League game or the
in
Premier League?
general. In general, I think they have a good attitude towards setbacks, and they can be
Yes.
like they can respond to that, and they displayed it today. But I also think there are patterns of play for carving out chances, and a lot of times, even though they have handled the transition from Klopp, it's still a big transition, and there has to be some time for it to settle. I'm very impressed and interested to see the Gravenberch experiment, because that's a big experiment in 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 your formation, and see where that goes. And then I think in terms of the front three, you might just want to keep the same ones and make sure they build that chemistry. Because if they're not on the pitch, they can't build that chemistry. And if you keep chopping and changing, then you're almost like regressing each time. Personally, I think the question between Jota and Gakpo needs to be sorted. Or you play him on the left, which I don't quite like, but he's pacey enough to do it. Gakpo, I mean, and play all three together. But that three has to be settled, and I kind of think it. I like Luis Diaz's ball carrying ability, but you also get that ball carrying from Salah. So I'm not exactly sure how necessary it is to have it from both sides. And so he might be willing to try the Jota, Gakpo, and Salah and see, because I do like Gakpo. Gakpo makes good decisions. He might not be as clinical as either Jota or Salah, but he makes really good decisions. And so I can see him making the right passes or being in the right areas to tap things in. So, but personally, you know, I, Nottingham Forest is a good team. I like them. I like what Nuno did last season. They were earmarked for the drop. They had, was it 4 points they lost? They were supposed to, like, what's it called? Uh, be
Really
relegated,
good.
but he
Yeah.
managed that. And so he there's a nuance. Yeah, yeah. So there's a not nuance. A nous, like a kind of skill to what he does, and there's an underlying baseline of quality that we don't quite talk about with Nottingham Forest. Is not Premier League like challenging quality, but it's still quality. You speak very highly of Gibbs White, and so I can still see that that's a team that can still kind of hurt you. Like there were games that I watched over the weekend, and you see the Man United game, you see the Aston Villa game, where there are teams that tried and they mount a challenge and they get tired and they fall apart, right? Because they just don't have the quality to keep up. But Nottingham Forest, they had the quality to hang in there and make their chances count. And I feel like, it's too early, but I think with Man City, that's where the questions come. Mhm. Mhm. If Man City wasn't there, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be such a big deal.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I agree with you. Nottingham Forest, they are not an easy team to sweep away. A very resilient team, resilient team. I I want to give them kudos for showing up at Anfield and now playing 5-4-1 or showing any sort of defensive minded team and any sort of defensive minded play. I think it was an open play. However, they were like tiptoeing, staying behind our defense, and they were very disciplined. I have to say, they were very very disciplined. You don't see them uh, stay at all in the defense. Once they get the ball, they'll go after, go forward. When they lose the ball, they stay in the midfield and they stay behind our player a little bit. Sometimes they offset our player. Very, 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 very good job from the coach. So I want to say very good job to you as well, as always. Always bringing the outstanding analysis of not just Arsenal, but some of our these teams. So we're about to put this show to an end. Do you have anyone last thoughts? Anyone last thoughts?
5-0 Arsenal versus Man City. We beat them.
Now you got to be positive, you know.
Just
The last thing you,
Trust us scores a hat trick. Havertz scores one goal, and Raya scores the fifth goal. Yeah.
wow, that is not controversial at all.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
You
kidding.
know, it would be nice if you say kind of one goal score too. Maybe.
Oh man, that'll make my year. He's my hero. Yeah. Yeah,
Easy.
just come out, just throws away his crutches. You know those legs that never work anymore. He
Yeah.
just gets his wheelchair. No, no, no.
All right, amigos. Thank you for hopping on. We look forward to hearing about Manchester United from Amigo Coach Mide. Amigo, we are thankful for your support and all the subscribing. Ayo, it's always
Thank
a
you, guys.
pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you for your support. We look forward to this every week. Yeah. Take care. Yeah.